Hello, America. How you doing today? Hope all our brothers and sisters and our fellow veterans are doing good out there. If not, I hope you are with someone who's helping make ease things up for you and get you through your rough patch. And as always, our co-host Kevin's with us. How you doing today, Kevin?
Good. How are you, Tim?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm hanging in there. Much better than I was last week. That's for sure.
That's great news. That's great
Yes.
news.
Yes. Um, had a little medical emergency. Ended up in the hospital for a little bit, but I'm good. I'm awake. I'm still alive. So, and any veterans issues news on your side of the world?
Uh, just we had a PACT Act event on the 25th with Senator Peters and Congressman Kildee to do a press conference there on the PACT Act, and now we're moving into the Michigan second annual Michigan Gala that's on the 5th of November this Saturday. And then also DTE is giving a donation for Burn Pit 360 for the Warrior Hope Network on the
Cool,
9th
cool.
of the 9th of November. So and we're trying to still push the Guard Act and the Major Richard Starr Act as well. So
Yes,
lots of things
yes.
going on in small chunks of days, but we're trying to get things done.
Yep, and I'm still pushing for the Barbosa Act for those mandatory colonoscopies and colon screenings, and the Major Richard Starr Act. Hopefully, we can get somebody who's expert on that act. Come on, maybe Major Richard Starr's widow, if you're listening, if you would like to come on and talk about that bill, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Also, I have a speaking engagement on November 10th at Owens Community College, November 16th at the Ohio Veterans Education Coalition banquet. I guess I'm their guest speaker. Talk about the PACT Act at both. And I just got word from Governor DeWine's office that he is paying my fare or my fee to have a Burn Pits 360 booth at the Veterans Fair on Veterans Day at Cleveland Public Auditorium,
Great.
downtown Cleveland. So that's good news there. Saves me a few bucks, and it'll help get the word out about the PACT Act.
There we go.
And well, unfortunately, one of the corporations I went to for donations to help pay for packets to go to homeless shelters said all their donations go through their employees. So
Gotcha.
employee has to make a donation and then they match it.
Right.
So there goes that. So I got to work on plan B. Hopefully somebody will reach out and say, hey, yes, we'll pay for your packets and help the homeless veterans out and get things going. But today's a special episode.
Yes.
This would have been a continuation of last week, but unfortunately the doctor had technical difficulties and couldn't join us. So Kevin, if you want to introduce our guest here today.
I sure will. Our guest today is Eric Kodela from treatnow.org. He has been a legislative guru in the process for hyperbaric and suicidal awareness with veterans and moving the coalition, moving the rock down the field, I guess you could say, as far as legislation. And he has been a major player in helping not only just the state of Michigan, but every state with legislation to give alternative modalities such as hyperbaric a chance to treat people with brain wounds. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Eric Kodela. How are you doing, Eric?
Great to be here, Tim, today. Great honor about our veterans who have brain injury, PTSD, and how we are healing those veterans, really 20 years with hyperbaric oxygen across the country.
That's
So,
good to.
Go ahead, Tim.
It's good to have you on here. And can you explain to our viewers what hyperbaric chambers treatment is?
Well, hyperbaric oxygen therapy decades. Everybody's familiar with being in the bends that people dive in the sea and come nitrogen level in their bodies, and they get bends from that hyperbaric chambers to have their body with high doses of oxygen. So oxygenation has been known to be a tissue growth and a aspect for any type of. So there's currently 40 approved protocols for oxygen therapy. There's about 11 that are Center for Medicare, so 14 approved that are covered in the when a traumatic brain injury treatment with us, they have experienced tissue and our brains, and when they go into the chamber, we 1.5 atmosphere, and that infuses 1100% more oxygen that helps propagate the cell, and over a period of time from 30 days to 80 days, they've had how severity it's been, length of time since their concussion, highly oxygenated blood flow, brain that's been damaged begins to heal.
All right, and you're breaking up a little bit, so hopefully they're getting that information. Now, what type of illnesses does hyperbaric treatment aid in?
Critical tissue healing hyperbaric oxygen therapy, predominantly used for it in care centers and hospitals across amputation, diabetic foot ulcers, a lot of the there's approximately 2.2 million in the VA healthcare system today. Worldwide, diabetic sound issue associated with diabetes, they will put them in the chambers. In the cases, hyperbaric up the diabetic foot ulcers. Again, surgery, flap surgeries where they're trying to rate skin healing, had surgery, the numbers, a lot of cancer who extended periods of will get radiation burns depending on where the treatment's occurring. Hyperbaric chambers to help healing as part of the.
All right, Kevin, you got any questions?
I mean, so Eric, walk us through what how treatnow.org came to be, and how we can how that came about doing the legislation, and also reaching out in the networks to be able to share and cross share with one another, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Sure. So treatnow. Pro bono across the country to help further hyperbaric as a standard of care for PTSD that's in the VA. But we're also state, along with implement a national law that mandate the VA provide this treatment protocol for all. So we have legislators to date. We have 5 and more states that have legislated hyperwar TBI vets starting 2014. Arizona, Texas, North Carolina, Florida, just implement this year, and then Wyoming, they haven't actually legislated. And out of about 5 of them, actually from $10,000 to over $1 million. Actually has $1 million starting in 2024 for Arizona original budget, and in this past legislative session, Arizona passed 3.6, actually vetoed back to the legislative group now to veto that have 3 treating TBI vets. Large national effort right now. Almost 25 states have either legislating, provide. They've had probably half a dozen Senate and House committee in Washington. None of them a committee to be voted on. Tuberville out of Alabama is being proposed. Asman Murphy, who's a medical doctor. Senator Hoven had put forth come out of committee. The congressman out of Arizona. We don't have enough support yet for the BFW, the American Disabled American Veterans behind hyperbaric oxygen therapeutic effort, treatment that is improving effective. There's been clinical IRB 2007 over 800 veterans, and so there's a lot of that has been published for veterans to look at. We've got 130 private that are part of the treat network. Some of those are treating veterans pro bono. Others are charging minimum because it's not currently covered VA, CMS, or TRICARE. Legislative efforts are trying to change the covered indication, VA, CMS, and TRICARE to be available for all veterans. Estimated 877 TBI vets as 11 Afghanistan. So there's a huge need. A protocol being used. We've had over 100 of veterans that have been PTSD. Another have succumbed to as a result of the CMI and PTSD. Got the answer to help lives with a treatment of the veteran birth. They can sleep or watch oxygenation in their body, and yet highly effective. If you're a veteran out by PTSD, you've been under treatment for not seeing any progression in to us at treatnow.org. We will put you in touch with a to help you get this treatment life.
So, what do you think is the hesitation on the VA's part to actually have this as an approved method of treatment?
I don't think the medical VHA are educated benefits of hyperbaric oxygen for TBI vets. The clinical trial and the data recording that's occurring years is I don't think self-educated enough on the treatment, what's going on with it. The second aspect is I think in Washington, to hyperbaric oxygen, that's national action through the committee, the VA, and have some medical hyperbaric oxygen and testify along with the connect the two together and see resolution where we're at the states that have legislated medical trials funded by the dollars. Wouldn't require whatsoever. They can pull dollars, which is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and funnel that money into treating and relatively short states that have legislated the amount of veterans treated and healed to see and safety of this treatment program.
What do you think? What is the benefit overall for the treatment for hyperbaric in regards to veterans being on pills, or possibly the suicide rate, or homelessness, or what do you see? Is there a benefit to getting this treatment and reducing those staggering numbers that we've seen? A report just came out about suicides in younger vets being a lot higher than what was anticipated or what was being reported on. Do you think hyperbaric would help curb those rates, reduce those rates? What's your opinion on that?
I co-authored a book we published in October 2021, and it's societal economic document about the economic impact of TBI in America. We estimate $1 billion a year, at about 16 to 20 different incarceration, opioid epidemic, the hospitalization impact, 40-year lifespan, about $1 economic into the VA budget, but the economy with regard to these veterans being unemployed and contribute space on each of the, and so we could treat all of those vets for one half whole economic lifetime financial benefit. A medical side of this, on how well the treatments work, of this is a huge benefit for all costs to not only the American taxpayer, and a huge cost reduction, hospitalization, aftercare costs was, I think it was $38.2 billion, and caregiver members relative that are helping these TBI across America. So one of the disturbing facts I found in was from 2014, 47 million opioid DA that was distributed through 8 consolidated mail outpatient. So conserved half the total number of, wasn't just the sheer volume that was the bills. They were anywhere from 40 tablets. So one was hitting the general public. States hit hardest. Ohio, Kentucky was not excluded from enormous impact with the opioid epidemic. Q4 of 2000, the VA published numbers: 80,000 vets were opioid, and so out of that, we saw dive disorder because of the pain of the symptoms associated with TB. So, it's just a black and white decision about treatment. It's such a huge cost saving, but the medical side of this is we're just trying to understand why the to all of these factors, why this treatment is so effective. We would see as a result of it. Understand, but we're hoping that it got on the marketing aspects that we're doing, and educating not only Washington and each state as well. There's a large portion of them. I'm talking about the medical doctors, even though they graduated through medical field for 20 years. There's the medical community that's not hyperbaric oxygen therapy and the benefit from its treatment. So we've got to help and educate the medical community also.
Yeah, that's what we're finding out with a lot of things is the VA is not very well educated on current illnesses and stuff like that. Now, what is the screening process to see if a veteran is eligible for this treatment?
So it varies depending on the research that probably 50% of veterans that have gone either undiagnosed, there is a large of the associated with traumatic brain injury, and about half the symptoms, whether you have PTSD or TBI, found as a portion of them that also have PTSD, be exposed to either the first wave or activities they've been involved with. So the first action in anything, they have been diagnosed and yet they've been exposed to IED, or maybe they've had numerous. You can get a concussion from them. They should go just neural MRI, brain scan. They've got any type of damage. It's a physical, not a psychological injury, and that's one of the shifts we have to overcome with veterans. That TBI, that's a physical injury to your psychological injury. The result of that's that falls on a lot of the symptoms. So why hyperbaric hyperbaric oxygen therapy at healing that up, and then many of the symptoms to dissipate and finally disappear. Besides, we have that reflects burns that have gone through 8 months. The fluid begins to dissipate and disappear. Some good success veterans being treated, suicide rates that have been treated. Now, suicide rate across it has increased for the last 15. In recent reports, the VA rate has dropped the last 2 years. True, because they know how to collect stats on veteran suicides. The National Guard reserve components and numbers that the VA was reporting of duty or actual veterans. About 2.5 a day from the Guard and Reserve. What people don't realize how that 50 that served in Afghanistan, the Guard or reserves. And they went over a tour or 15-month tours back to back, go back in the civilian community, physically injured and then we're dealing with all the other words, just like any other veteran succumbed to that, committed suicide, are not being recorded. Historically, been 20 veterans a day committing suicide. Latest numbers they reported, but we don't believe that the accounting that occurred with how the
And if a veteran thinks that this treatment is for them, where can they go to see if they're eligible or not?
on our treatnow.org, there's a phone number and call back to them depending on where they're located with local clinic. Our treatnow.org website, state by state, they can go on there and call clinics directly by and speak with their injuries and local clinics to get treated. .org website 571-5499 or you can go to, and that's listed right on the front page to call into.
All right. And if a veteran is accepted, how soon after they get notified do they start treatment?
And where they're being treated, long it's been, clinics are doing cognitive pre, so that cognitive and then MRI, it may include testing like right eye or brain scan that is done ahead of time. Some alcohol testing, that pre-testing usually occurs. That's so important. This is probably one of the most important too, because it's given us data that we can go back to see of the Hbot. So we take some front end side before the veteran, and then when he goes through his 40, do a post treatment application of the same test, and then we compare those after the I've been administered, and with the changes in the cognitive in the brain healing treatment. And so we're trying to that data collection across the country, data to put in to show why they're not just for the VA trying to get CM this treatment as well, and all of that is going to help us migrate this effort.
Kevin, you got any other questions?
So we have you remember 12, 15 years ago when chiropractor and acupuncture was considered I don't want to not an effective science or what have you. Do you see hyperbaric in the future hopefully become a standard of care like the chiropractor and acupuncture is now? Do you see that happening?
I think when get the data that's pulled together, Dr. Paul Hart, a paper in the Ology in March of this year, and he took a deep dive look at the clinical IRB since 2007 and did a leading trials. The sum collected off those 10 trials is just the efficacy, the safety, treatments, healing veterans, concussions. We did about it and pull in we need to pull in all of the veterans, and we've got to get some legislation going on, and why there's a compelling medical reason to treatment for it as a standard of care VA, but also to have the VA start providing this VA healthcare network.
Now, do you see I know the FDA is up to 14 condition, I think it is now. Do you see the FDA changing that or adding possibly? I mean, what is their parameters for increasing those numbers for these brain wounds for TBI and PTSD? I mean, isn't that the easiest way to go on this, or is there something else?
Well, actually, the FDA on UHMS, the hyperbaric medicine, all of the prior have been approved by the FDA, actually approved by UHMS standard or assessing the medicine, how effective and safe it is. So we have to get them. They took a major step within the last several months. Definition of hyperbaric oxygen to align with what in the and that change is going to help us down the therapy towards FDA. We are working with UHMS. Harsh has been a supporter of this treatment and conducting probably 30 years of Hbot, both patients and civilian community as concussions and TBIs, prevalent injuries, about 3.5 million per year. Cause of it are full. People of age are one of the biggest group of people that get TBI. So it's not just an American issue that's going on. Benefits derived from this, not only veterans, but all Americans from TBIs is going to be enormous because of the such impact to America. In the months and you start seeing progression with large scale, FDA will be willing to take along with UHMS and consideration for putting it on label indication. And once that occurs, once either CMS or FDA, TRICARE and the VA will almost immediately follow suit on as a covered indication as well.
Now, currently, right now, I hear of a lot of clinics who will not treat outside of the FDA parameters of those 14 conditions. And those clinics that are willing to treat for brain wounds with veterans with TBI, PTSD, or post-concussion syndrome type events they're charging anywhere between up to $250 a dive, which, at 40 dives, you're looking at almost, I don't do math very well, but it's around 10 grand, I would imagine, just for that right there. But is hyperbaric the only thing, or is there other things associated with hyperbaric? For example, supplements or red light therapy, or is it a collection of treatments, or is it just hyperbaric is the only way to go? Or how does that play into the decision on what to treat and how to treat veterans with TBI and PTSD?
There are wide other treatments of suffering from PTSD, but none of those that I'm most expensive amount of RB trials conducted,
Right.
an enormous amount of showing the safety and efficacy. You can go online and Google that. You'll probably different treatment available to them. Be cautious because I may not have support and to show efficacy for those treatments. So
Gotcha.
you always want to err on. I don't want to try and discourage something new or different that may help. Same token, is pretty rigid what treatments they will provide and will. And how I stayed in Kentucky in 2000. We got our law passed 2000, and how we got around non-approved put in the legislative statute. Patient consent, they have to sign that releases staff medical facilities of liability forms. So come in, pre-testing, pre-examination. We make sure not under the influence, so we don't allow to go into treatment that are under any influence. So that consent form was written in law, and a lot of flexibility about the actual clinical IRB trial, university or a medical hospital, substantially to the cost of the treatment trials. doctors and PhD research that requires a time to they're going to treat for how the data they're going to collect around that through the legislation. Each state is different. That have legislated those legislative to each state statute are allowed to do. Kept it wide open and for the medical community go ahead and treat through an IRB clinical trials. It's a wide range depending on located.
Now, one of the questions that I received prior to the show from some veterans was how safe this is, because they heard that there's an increase in pressure on the body. So can you explain how safe this is and what that pressure increase is?
Sure. So the typical standard protocol in all cases, but standard treatment 1.5 atmospheres. So that's equivalent to 10 feet underwater. And so to put that in perspective, when you fly on an airplane 35,000 feet, you have about the 8. So it's really anybody that's flown an airplane, what they're going in the chamber under, be able to clear your ears in the chamber, but it's really pressure differential during the treatment.
All right, thank you for that. And when a veteran is receiving this treatment, how long are they inside the chamber?
Typically, it's 1 hour. We do have some programs a day, but you in the bloodstream. So you can't go in there and sit. Typically, the treatment and 1-minute period in there where it's ascending and 7 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes, and put that in perspective for listeners, where this is an foot that they're trying to accelerate. They may be in the chamber at 0.5 atmospheres for because they're trying to get into that foot. We have just found through clinical IRB trials that have had multiple teams in 6, 8, 10 years seeing those physical injuries. 5 at 100 to be the say we're seeing a standard that's been effective and working. Again, depends on the length of time you've had. Some veterans dives. We've had others that have had to be 130 dives. The scope of the injury, how it is.
And does this, how would this affect somebody that has severe lung disease? Would they be eligible for this, or is that due to the pressure something that they would not be able to do?
That's that question, because published articles within the last 2 years since. Now we all know that attack and what they call long-termers though they have got still suffering from issues associated from, and there's been conducted long-termer COVID, and they've had a pretty good going in, and a blood flow, the bloodstream to the lungs has helped healing of those lungs, where reduction in the or just been completely healed up. A range of patients that have come from that. So stages of that cleaning, they've got a lot more work. Very, very, very positive results of those testing.
Are you as far as the advocacy goes and the legislation goes, are you looking for folks in other states to help assist with the process here, or how does that if they want to come and go to treatnow.org and they want to get interested in the advocacy part? Like you said, there's only so many states that have come on board with the legislation. How does somebody get involved in that part of the process?
A board that treatnow.org, Beckman heads the board up and asked to help state to get hyperbaric oxygen treatment protocol. If you're a veteran or even a doctor, medical professional in the industry, or just want to, we're always looking for folks. Our network across the state to private clinics and help us legislate. Jim Barrowley, who's my counterpart, he and I put together a guide. If you're just legislate in the state you reside, we can make that. We'll walk you through step by step to go about getting legislated, and sponsors at the state or House Senate.
All right. Sorry for that interruption, guys. That was my doctor. Had to take that call. I happened to be on that home telehealth thing through the VA, and they saw that my blood pressure was dangerously low this morning, so they called to make sure I was still alive.
Well,
Several hours later. Several hours later. Yeah. Right. Now, the treatment that people would get through hyperbaric chambers, this is the same exact thing that divers do to get rid of the bends. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so when doctors started doing research on this, obviously they saw the effects the positive effects it has on treating the bends. So was that like the major reason why they started researching to see what else this could help?
Well, I think there was Dr. Hartley with the University of Louisiana started out treating dive patients with therapy, and actually veteran diver had experienced and we're having, I think that's how he originally got considering doing some else, looking at not just a veteran that sustained concussions and how effective it would be for them. Sure, different lengths of time has evolved over the last 20 with a enormous of medical doctors that have with treating patients with one of the harshest treatments have been associated with folks that have been long time veterans, specifically Daphne Denham, who is two clinics, one in Fargo, Chicago, Illinois, doing a lot of testing in the last several athletes and older people. Her approach has been when those patients come in immediately after the injury, still playing football Saturday night on the football game. He comes into her clinic for treatment, some in, does some brain scope and right eye, puts them in the chamber for an hour or two, and some of the data, I think about over 400 treating at that on average in 2.5 to 5 hours getting completely healed up. And when I using medical evidence, been healed using this eye and or if needed brain scans. So research that's being conducted here that regiment the same for another. The length of time since the injury was, how many injuries, it's for a veteran who has had duty, he may have had TBIs during, whereas on the football field on Saturday night, those two different multiple injuries and two different types going to be completely different. It's not, the one size fits all. Any type of other medical treatment, the type of injury, how long it's been.
All right, got any other questions, Kevin?
Yeah, just would you recommend any kind of books, or I know Dr. Harsh has the Oxygen Revolution, the third edition. Would you recommend any other kind of reading literature for more information on this kind of stuff, or besides the website of treatnow.org, what would you recommend our viewers be able to look at and get some more information on this stuff?
Absolutely recommend go to our web. 350 documents, even the latest books, clinical trial data that's been released. All of it's the knowledge base, 50 documents. If you're really interested in the safety for TBI, PTSD, world, almost publications and books they can locate on the website.
And just to let our viewers know that I actually went through this treatment in Tucson, Arizona last September through October, and I completed 80 dives or 80 sessions in a hyperbaric chamber at 1.5 atmospheric pressure. And after my second dive with a constrictive lung bronchiolitis, I was actually able to take my first deep breath after my second dive in over 12 years. And I've seen just a myriad of veterans who it changed their life. It extended their life and their quality of life. So you're also on here talking about this stuff we're talking about, but I've actually experienced this as well. And everything that Eric is saying and the work that he's done throughout the years is instrumental Oxygen is water is what we need, folks. I mean, those are the two main things we need to survive. And you're getting 100% medical grade oxygen, breathing in at pressure, and restoring those red blood cells to help you, heal those tissues. It's all about healing. We're not talking about throwing opioids and medications at you. We're actually trying to heal the brain, because if you heal the brain, you heal the body. So again, somebody's been on there. Go to their website, go to treatnow.org, contact them at 571-549-4268. Eric is a wealth of knowledge. We really appreciate you coming on board with us, Eric. Any final thoughts before we're getting ready to close up our session here, our podcast, but any final thoughts with you, Eric?
And Tim, thank you for having me. We're trying to get the country about the Hbot for TBI, PT, and there's other in on people that there's still a lot of inducted on, but a lot of autism and some other in the medical side of this. The data that's been collected is just compelling. You have to work effort forward where it becomes a friends and all Americans are suffering from consequences. Thank you again for hosting us. And if anybody's got any questions, Rob Beckman, my contact info.org, you can reach out to us and call.
All right, Eric, it was an honor having you on here today, sir. And if you can stick around after we go off the air just for a few minutes, that'd be fantastic. And right there's the contact information for treatnow.org. Got their website and their phone number, 571-549-4268. I highly recommend, if you're a veteran who thinks that this treatment will benefit you, contact them. Contact them immediately. And as always, here's the new number for the Veterans Crisis Line. It's 988, then press 1, or dial 1 if you just happen to have a old rotary phone, which kind of doubt these days. But this, if you're a veteran who needs help immediately, call this number. If you can't call it, ask your neighbor, ask your friend, ask your family. Tell them dial 988 and press 1. These folks will help you out right away. And then after you get back on your feet, get in contact with treatnow.org. See if this treatment's for you. All right. Any last word? Oh, well, wait a minute. I almost forgot one. I don't have a slide for this, but today is the first Wednesday of the month. It's down in Rootstown, Texas, at Burn Pit's 360 headquarters. It is Haircuts for Warriors. So if you're a veteran and need a haircut, today's the day. Go get your haircut. I believe it's free. I know they take donations of different types for these. So go on, get your haircut. And anything else to add today, Kevin?
No, just it's getting close to Veterans Day, so it's getting close to the holidays. So please, our vets, family members, if you're having some issues, if you're having some struggles, know that you're not alone. We
That's
do
right.
care about you guys and gals, and we want you to make sure you get the care and benefits that you deserve, not only from the PACT Act, but probably for hyperbaric. And then also, if if you're struggling, reach out to that 988 number, press 1. We would rather hear about your story and what's going on with you than hear the other negative part of your obituary, because
Right.
we're losing too many brothers and sisters, and it's time to put an end to this. And we're giving out ways to try to help that, not only just by a website, but interviewing folks involved in those websites, so you can get some more answers and you put a name and a face with the organization that you can reach out to and open that opportunity. So thank you again, Tim, for all you do.
Thank you for all you do.
Yep. And it was great, Eric. Again, we appreciate
Yes.
you coming on board, and we will hope everybody has a great week.
Now, we want to start dedicating our episodes to one of our fallen brothers or sisters, but we need information. Let me go ahead and put our email up here real quick. It's scrolling on the bottom. If you know of a veteran who had succumbed to their injuries, illnesses, one way or another, and they are no longer with us, we would like to dedicate an episode to that fallen hero. So please send us their name, their rank, branch of service they were in, and a picture, and we will dedicate an episode to that individual.
And who we got next week, Tim?
Next week, our guest will be Will Weisner from Burn Pits 360 and Grunt Style Foundation, and he's going to talk about his experiences with hyperbaric as well, and some other treatments that he's gone through to help him with his PTSD and his toxic wounds. All right. Once again, Eric, thank you very much for coming on today. Thank you all for viewing. And if you know somebody who wants to watch this episode and was not able to watch it live, it will be posted on YouTube here in about an hour, and all major podcast platforms such as Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, Amazon, Apple here in the next couple of hours. All right. So thank you again, and hope everybody has an awesome afternoon, and see you next week.